Hi, I'm Matt with Hoboken Horology, and today I'll be showing you my reaction to the Omega lineup for the Baselworld 2017. Okay, so right on their website we see the lineup here. We have the Speedmaster Racing, which we've all seen kind of before. It kind of came out earlier. It's on their Speedy calendar lineup. What's interesting about this is it's not on their website, but they're offering the Speedmaster Racing, which I'm not a fan of, the orange here. They're offering this in white and black, and the colors on the other Speedmasters look fantastic. I actually was blown away when I saw the white on some live footage from Baselworld. I could not believe what I was seeing. I was like, this is a really, really nice white Speedmaster. And you know, they have this racing in the seas. They're set up to be kind of like a homage to the older Speedmaster racing watch that came out so long ago. So, they have Big Blue. Notice that I was very careful to skip over the trilogy that I'm about to get to in a second. There's some other weird stuff like this Aquaterra here that's just strange. People online are like freaking out that they moved the date window. It's a bit odd. The blue, it looks like a blue ceramic case, I'm not sure. It's another quite an odd watch. And it's just an odd color scheme. It's just like they released one watch in another color. Like, it's just one model. It's like I like the Good Planet watch, and you know that was a Planet Ocean, and some of the other very original watches that were one, but that just kind of blue Planet Ocean is kind of strange. If I ran into one on the street or something, or ran into someone wearing one, I would definitely ask them, you know, what was so, like, did you just see it in the window and you thought that it like looked, or like was there just, it's an odd watch. It's an odd watch for someone who collects watches to just look at it and be like, I need that. You know, it's kind of weird. But here's the trilogy, and this is a big one. This is huge. Now, I have a lot of interesting things to say about this. Let's start with the Speedy. It's interesting, it's small. It's 38.6 mils. That's quite small for a Speedy. Almost, that's pretty much in Speedy Reduced territory. Speedy Reduced you can get online any day of the week. They're quite low in price, actually. They don't go for much pre-owned. They're a really interesting watch that I've always been curious to see how I would feel about a smaller Speedmaster. At first I was kind of repulsed by the idea, but now that, you know, smaller watches have kind of taken over, and I think that they're, especially with this Omega release, all three watches that are getting so much press, all being on the smaller side, I think that small watches are definitely here, and they've come back, and this is a good thing. This is definitely a good thing. Let's try to make these things smaller, not bigger. We don't need bigger watches. We need to try to make them smaller. This Speedmaster is interesting because it is a very close replica to the original. The bracelet is different. They said aesthetically and engineering, the bracelet was quite different. If you know, as I do, and some vintage bracelets can feel very cheap or very unsecured, even by luxury brands, because the process in which they use to make the bracelets and the technology or the designs behind them are very different from what we're used to today. So a bracelet on a Seamaster or a Sub, it's going to be much more secure. Even having this adjustments, Rolex has it, Omega has it. Trying to think if there's a third. I think there's a third watchmaker who uses it famously. And, you know, that's something that is such a simple design that we didn't have till recently. It makes you wonder, like, what else are we missing on these watches? All of these, by the way, have adjustable clasps. That was a big thing for Omega, and actually people who are die-hard watch collectors that want it as close to the original as possible, that was something that I saw some people mention online, was they were like, well, if it doesn't have an adjustable clasp, I'm out. And it makes you, I want everything as close to the original as possible, but if you don't give me an adjustable clasp, I'm not going to touch it. So it's pretty interesting. You know, people, at the end of the day, you're going to be wearing it on your wrist. So at the end of the day, you want it to be as comfortable as possible. So it's, you know, a function goes over everything. A function should go over everything else. So as we go down, here's the Railmaster. The Railmaster is so popular, they've made 2 versions this year. I actually think a lot of people wanted the modern Railmaster re-release. They didn't really want a vintage Railmaster, but this will be very popular. This will probably sell out before the rest of them, just because it has such a cult following. There's so many people that love the Railmaster lineup, and they want to see it come back. It's, to me, an all Cortera, but not as professional, more casual. So let's keep going. And here's the Seamaster 300 60th anniversary limited edition, 39 mils. So this is very close to the original. Actually, it is almost to a T, the original Seamaster, different movement. That brings me to a very interesting conclusion. What's going to happen to this Seamaster 300? They're very different watches. This one is more modern. The bezel is a modern design. I don't have it lined up at 12. I'm actually timing the runtime on my camera. This is a very modern bracelet. I would consider this more of a dive watch than this, even though people call this a dress piece because of the polished center links. So this is definitely a modern watch. Seeing the movement in the back, the Expedition case back, the 9300 movement, and the reverse bezel, I believe they call it a counting bezel or a countdown bezel, is interesting. I like the pip is on, the pip for this is actually on this aluminum bezel, or aluminum, yeah, it would be an aluminum bezel. But this aluminum insert here, it does tend to scratch. So you're going to see that on these watches. No matter how careful you are, just with a polishing cloth, you can scratch the aluminum bezel on here. It's completely possible. I've seen it, I've had it happen to me multiple times. So it's not something that's out of the ordinary. They all have solid case backs, which for me is a huge advantage. With that beautiful seahorse emblem on the back. It's really interesting. It's interesting that Omega wants to re-release these watches. I'm a little disappointed in Omega. I think that these watches are exactly what a lot of people want and a lot of people have been asking for, and there are things that they changed for the better of the person buying it. That being said, I think it's possible it could hurt the vintage market. And I think that they aren't as bothered by that because at the end of the day, more people are going to be buying these watches and they're going to be enjoying them. So, is somebody going to be spending $6,000 on an old original Seamaster 300, or are they going to buy the re-release for $7,000? I don't know, those are questions. I think Omega has asked themselves those very questions, and I think that they found that overwhelmingly people will buy re-releases that are very close to the original. My Seamaster 300 is considered a re-release, but in some eyes like mine, looking at this re-release on the screen and looking at my re-release, I would say they're completely different. So it definitely sets a standard for a re-release. There are some watch companies, Omega being one of them and Rolex being another, where people would kill to have an authentic re-release of their favorite models. I think Omega has set a great standard for their re-release. The only difference is maybe the aged patina might be a strange choice because it kind of shows that they are not real. They're not really the original watch. That being said, they checked a lot of my boxes for these watches. They are very, very close. They have solid case backs. They don't have expedition case backs. They have 38, 36, 38, 39 mil bodies. I mean, they're small watches. This is good. We're going back to how fashion was. We're going back to the smaller watches. Not every watch has to be 44 mils or 50 mils on the wrist. I'm very excited for these. I think that this is a great step in the right direction. You can buy all three in a trilogy set. I will go to page 2 here. This is a picture of the actual trilogy set. And you can tell they're trilogy watches because Omega has decided to put trilogy right on the dial there. So if you own one, just so you don't forget that you bought the trilogy, it's right on the dial. Omega could change this. This doesn't mean that it is something that will happen. Maybe people want to have trilogy written on the dial. I'd rather have it on the case back. That being said, I don't know about that design choice of putting the trilogy on the dial there. Especially if these watches, the trilogy set's like $22,000. I don't know. I don't know if that was a good choice. This is very exciting. This is a very exciting time. If you're not an Omega fan, if you are an Omega fan, you can go into a Omega boutique when these come out, I think later May, and you can try on a vintage Seamaster 300. It's completely been revamped with new internals. That's cool. That is really cool. I mean, imagine if Rolex did that with the Big Crown, the watch collectors would go nuts. Or one of the original Daytonas, they would go insane. Even Tag has been playing around a little bit with trying to re-release some of their older models, but I think they changed it a little too much for collectors. That being said, I wonder about the longevity of the Seamaster 300. Will they keep the Seamaster 300 as a watch that will be modern and stand up on its own, and something that Bond wore? He wore the Spectre edition of this watch. Or will they retire it quietly? These are questions that I definitely asked myself when I saw the actual Seamaster 300 come out. This watch was a re-release of the Seamaster 300, and now they have a closer re-release. I don't understand. What do you call it? The re-release 2 or the re-release? Like this was 20% of the original, and now that one's like, 85% of the original or 90% of the original. I'm not sure, but Omega did put a lot of love and care into these new pieces, and I'm definitely excited to handle one and to see how it stacks up, especially to my Seamaster 300. Experience both and see how I feel about the new one. There's some interesting things, like I'm pretty sure the bezel is bidirectional, which might knock it out of the way for some people to actually dive with the watch. But the countdown bezel is very cool. It's very, very cool. It's very original to the piece. But, at the end of the day, you can buy all three if you want. You wear the Speedmaster for your daily beater. You wear the Seamaster when you're going out by water or by the pool or to the beach. You wear the Railmaster when you go out to dinner. It does make me curious. These are all limited edition pieces, of course. That might not mean anything when it's 3,500 pieces if they don't sell well. But if they sell really well and they sell out, that's it. That's the end of the lineup. All of that being said, I would have been interested if they made the hands white and did a set of white-handed watches. That would make it really close to the original. Yes, this is how they look now and today after the lume has aged and everything is patinaed and the dial has patinaed, but what if they did a white-handed version, like the Speedmaster 57 with the white hands? Imagine how that would look. That would be a very interesting Seamaster 300. People wouldn't look at it and immediately assume it's a vintage watch. It would be very interesting. I'd be curious. But that being said, I think Omega blew everyone away with this. I don't think anyone saw this coming. We knew a Railmaster was coming, but we had no idea that it was going to be this lineup. I'm Matt with Hoboken Horology. Hopefully I didn't go too all over the place. I have a lot to say about this. The video could be 2 hours if I had if I was really going to sit down and talk about each model. Thanks for watching. You could have been watching any other video, but you're here with me, and I appreciate that. Thank you.